Hey folks, back again studying the ancient Egyptian book of two ways. See, this is just Asia in the book of two ways, Kamchatka, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, China, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, and India. So, it's pretty obvious. I mean, it's kind of obvious like this, Japan is definitely shaped like this rabbit. And, Southeast Asia is definitely shaped like that. And these two, Java and Sumatra with the Lesser Sunda Islands, are definitely shaped like this. Although the head of Java is actually like the little Panaitan Island right there that's zoomed in for it. And then, India is this whole gateway, and then this little snake head is Sri Lanka, and the two little circles in his neck are the bridge connecting India to Sri Lanka, Pamban and Mannar Islands. I mean, not exactly connecting, but almost connecting it. So anyway, this is obvious. Like, anybody that has basic pattern recognition skills, like what I would think is basic for an adult, should be able to very quickly realize that this is conclusive evidence. But what the zombies that we have walking around nowadays calling themselves educated adults could look at this for 10 hours and still come back and say, nope, there's no evidence. My professor said, my TV said. But anyway, this is why I don't try that hard to win over the naysayers, because, I'm not an idiot whisperer. It's not my job. Can either understand this stuff or not. I'm not, oh god damn it, what the F? Okay. Stupid technology. So this is just a new comparison showing Baffin Island, and Baffin Island is painted in retrograde, so you have to flip it to see it. And like its butt and like its tail and all this, not very accurate, you could say. If you look at this, you could say it doesn't really get skinnier, but you could also say it's stylized, and that maybe this is the more important side of him, so it focuses on here. It seems that his horns would be these, and then his ear would be this part, or this whole part, and then this face, and it seems to really delineate his hand there. It shows his like knuckles and stuff. And then I'm thinking his knife is basically his face, because often the knife will also be, like for Newfoundland, the bunny's knife is also his ears, or the rabbit's, Avatar's ears are also its knife, or at least one of its ears. So, but there's also a chance that part of why this is skinny at the back is that it was mistaken for an earlier avatar, basically like this, because this is a later map, slightly later. This is Jehudi Hotep's map, and this critter looks a lot like this. It basically has the same body and the same, roughly the same everything, other than just the fact that its horns go like this instead of sticking out to the side. So that's quite interesting, because based on that, assumed that this was Baffin Island for the longest time. And it was only recently that I realized that it's actually it's actually Nunavut, because I was realizing, I was looking at both of these shapes. So I was thinking, okay, this has definitely got to be Baffin Island because it looks so much like this. But what's this? So I was looking all around the kind of northern area for something that could be this. And I ran into this guy. But this guy is like totally far from Baffin Island, like the other side of America, basically. The other side of like a bunch of stuff. Like the other side of Greenland, I guess. So anyway, like I figured it can't be that. And especially I was looking at the horns and I'm like, they're usually pretty specific about the horns. So they wouldn't give this guy these horns. I mean, you could kind of say that this part curls up a bit, but you really can't say it about the front. So there's no way that they would do that. So I realized it must be something else. So I looked nearby him. So a little further this way is this guy. And he's actually flipped, or not flipped exactly, but he's like a different north-south orientation. Like this way is south, I think, for this guy, whereas for this guy, this way is south. But that's standard when they bring together gatekeepers. They often reconfigure their orientations. So anyway, this is Hall Island, St. Matthew Island, Nunavut. And so for Nunavut, I just zoomed in on his face right there a little bit and his knife, which includes this island here that's like adjacent to this little bay here, which seems to be this bay or this indent in his knife here, the handle of it or whatever. So yeah, that's it. And so this is like the northernmost gatekeeper. These are the northernmost gatekeepers of America, of the Western Hemisphere in Jehudi Hotep's map. Whereas in Sepi's map, this is the northernmost gatekeeper, Baffin Island. So it's coming at it from different sides of America. This is the east side, this is the west side. These are basically Alaskan, they're part of the Alaskan realm, I guess, in the Bering Sea area. So that's cool to find these. I finally identified, I realized that just since summer, I've identified about like 50, almost 50 more of these avatars that I hadn't identified before. Previously I'd only identified like 15 or something. So this seems to be St. Matthew and Hall in Sepi's map. And so, different depiction. In this case, the head seems to be Khepera, whatever, this guy, the scarab. Although it could be that the head is the Aten and the scarab is something symbolic. Hard to say. But either way, it's definitely associated with the sun. And because this is basically the sunrise. It's like this is where they viewed the sun as rising, or starting to rise, is in basically the Bering Sea before it rose over the Eastern Hemisphere. And actually this is painted in the Eastern Hemisphere. It's painted it's not painted in the Americas section. So it's, because it's technically between the two hemispheres in the sea, kind of between the continents. So, and then it seems that these the snakes, like the uraei, whatever, that are around him are bloody hell. Why they make this so freaking hard to like expand something? Well, all right. So it seems that these may actually be these things, like I guess waves. I'm guessing these are waves. So just like the ancient Pacific Islander maps included waves in them, it seems that this may include the waves. That these snakes or whatever, it's like they're curled this way, but then on the end they go down, they go this way. So they go further up first and then down. So that's basically like this goes up, it's curled like this, but then on the edge it goes actually down. And in terms of this side, we can't really see it right now, but maybe they have similar wave patterns there or whatnot. So, and it may have even been that this was used as some kind of sailing, aid to like launch off somehow. Like if you could catch the waves just right and launch yourself to Asia, maybe. Like just park here and zoom off like the sun. Not exactly sure. So this is cool, and it's funny because arguably, if you read this Book of Two Ways, the regular way from right to left, and then down and right to left, this comes right after another disembodied leg. But I think the other disembodied leg is not this. It's actually something. I think it's the York Peninsula in Australia. So, there's only 3 of these gatekeepers that include solar discs with them. There's this one. There's the St. Lawrence estuary with Orleans Island as an Aten solar disk, and then there's China, the Yellow Sea, that has a solar disk, which seems like it might be Jeju Island of Korea, if it's terrestrial at all. So anyway, you could see how maybe that since this map flipped everything back to retrograde, like what it was supposed to be, basically, in the 5,000-year-old tradition, which most of these maps didn't realize. So most of these maps were doing part of these things backwards because they didn't realize the original map is flipped inside out. But this one is a later one that somehow rediscovered the original tradition, and so they went back to it and they flipped their maps retrograde. And so they may have also realized that this earlier map, due to that mistake, had misidentified this gatekeeper, I forget his name, and misidentified him as being Baffin Island, when the one that they might have had in mind may have actually been Nunivak. That's a strong possibility at the least. Because this version is definitely trying to correct a lot of the errors of the earlier versions in that sense. Or the intermediate versions. But, you could say like his butt is like this thing or something, and I don't know. You could say like this thing is like the tail, but then like what the hell? Anyway. So this is like I just made this as a complete thing, so um, I already showed these gatekeepers, but I just did the, you know, made it actually into what it is there. So this island right here, Tranqui, I expanded to like the way they did, and then I also expanded Wafo, or however you pronounce that, the way they expanded it. But other than that, I just left it as is. Oh, and then the other thing, I just covered up some of these. There's a bunch of like million little islands and things here that I kind of just like covered up just because they're distracting, but they're not connected to this stuff anyway. Um, so, this one is pretty obvious. He has this black knife, which actually is kind of a dark island in this dark sea over here, or it's, I guess, a spear. And so, but actually this one, this part of it, Trunky, actually is right here, or no, it's actually right here. So it's sticking out of his mouth like the Aztec underworld god, Mictlan. You almost wonder if there's like some weird connection between him and Mictlan. But anyway, so I took it out of his mouth and put it and attached it to this, which seems to be its lower, I think was considered to be its lower branch or something, the spear, the base of it or whatever. So yeah, and there's Guafo, which is actually right about here. I think it's a little higher than his head, but it's right around here. And it could be that, again, like just as this might be the base of this island could be the base of his knife somehow, but I have no idea how I would do that. So I just pasted it right here. And, you can see his bent legs, the Taitao Peninsula, and you can see his chin and his, mouth and nose and eye and whatever. And this guy, you can see like his blood coming down as Malin River, because he was like cut off from the mainland. And, and this is like his chin right here, and his nose and eye and head, whatever. So there you go. Those are the southern gatekeepers of the underworld, which, Egypt's underworld is America. So just as our underworld includes Egypt, Afro-Eurasia. Let's see. This one, I guess I already showed. The Yellow Sea. I was realizing there's a chance that instead of the snake's head being this, that it's actually the kind of bay around Shanghai that's like around here or something. Not exactly sure. And yeah, this little island right here under the is like Jeju Island of Korea, which may be the sun disk that's in this painting, even though I didn't show it. But yeah, if it turns out that's the sun disk, then it may be that his legs are something in here. And I'm actually thinking that I was saying how he looks like he's holding a scepter, which is probably Japan, and like the top of the scepter, the big part is probably Hokkaido. But it looks like there may also be a uraeus, like a sort of serpent here in front of him. And chances are that is also Japan. Because it's shaped a bit like Japan, and it's Japan is right here, like it's just right next to Korea, kind of right in front of them. So chances are that's Japan, because this map doesn't have a separate Japan like the other one does. Just has China, or the Yellow Sea, which includes basically Korea and Japan as part of it. Jonos. This one I'm still trying to figure out what this freaking tail is. Like if this is the tail, because there's some times where I'm looking at it and it looks like the tail goes this way. It's just hard to figure out this part in here. Like I guess this is the tail. And then this is the lizard's tongue that all the reconstructions erase. I think probably because it wasn't red, it was black, so it's thinner. These are the little lizards. This is like Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, Delmarva Peninsula, or Delmarva Peninsula, and then this is Long Island, and this is everything in between. So this is basically like the east coast of the U.S. from Virginia to Connecticut. And then his body is Chesapeake Bay. So yeah, I'm thinking somehow this is like Japan here, but it's very difficult to see. I think that Whale Sherpini might have written about this part that wasn't included in the reconstruction. This one I just redid because I did it wrong. I put it 2 and 3, but technically it should be like 1. This is showing the Yellow Sea in the other version, the Book of Jehudi Hotep, where it's just called the contrary face, but it's not actually avatarized. It's just shown as a lake symbol or whatever, and then it's shown as a lake symbol. Well, basically the Bohai Sea is shown as a lake symbol, and then the Yellow Sea is shown as like a split lake symbol. So, of course, this side would be 2 because this is the northern side, and then the southern side would be 3, the South Yellow Sea, and then this is like Korea's foot, and or I guess it could be this is probably Korea's foot, and this is Korea's face. So it makes sense why this would be called contrary face, because it's faced, upside down and backwards from this guy's. These 3 birds. 3 little birds by my doorstep. So yeah, that's like Japan here. So Japan could be both the scepter as a miniature model and a larger uraeus like cobra snake, but who knows what form that is since it's so damaged. It seems like I've identified part of Siberia that hasn't uploaded yet to my photos, so I can put it on my laptop and show you, but so yeah, this is one of the ancient, this is one of the Pacific Islander stick maps, stick charts, and then this is the same type of concept in Egypt, where it has these arbitrary little numbers of like oars and different things. It's all like geometric, and it's like on a platform. It's like definitely not a depiction of a boat. It's not like somebody sat down and was like, let's show a real boat. No, this is definitely symbolic. So I think this is the same thing as this, and like the rope I think is very important for whatever the mapping is. Like the rope probably shows, I don't know, something important. Not sure what. So yeah, just gotta figure out, that's the same system of mapping that they used partly for the Yellow Sea. So if I can figure out what these, like especially these, I think these are either units of measurement or something about orientation perhaps, or shape. I think I already showed this one. You know, this is like, seems like this little bay is like his mouth or something, and then his nose is like this part, and his hair is like these little eyelets there. And yeah, his pointy little pincher looking feet. New Zealand, Stewart Island. And this one I guess I showed already. But you know, it's like, I mean, it's a little bit hard to know that there's a chance that somehow this one might be some, you know, might actually be, could actually be multiple things, this lizard. Like it definitely fits for this, but it also fits kind of for another one which is closer to Australia, so that one fits its orientation for Australia better. So there's a lot of these where you'll see the same shape. You know, the Earth creates the same shape in certain regions. So some areas of the Earth, everything is round. Some areas, like everything is like a triangle. And so that's just a fact that the Egyptians may have picked up on. And so it might not all be limited to one object or one island. But anyway, I don't even have that other one to show you, but I forget what it was called. Also Asia, Mongolia, China, Siberia. Two ways. Oh yeah, I found out. I think Japan's dick is named. This East Falkland has a penis here, which is this that little peninsula right there. But Japan also does, and I think it's called the Oka or Oga. I think it's Oga Peninsula. District of the Kneeling Ones. Yeah. So far I've identified about 61, I guess, of these guys. So there's like about 10 more that I have yet to fully identify. There's the U.S. East Coast Guardian. Let's just see if there's anything more to show down here. Oh, I guess that's it. All right. Cool. Thank you very much. I guess I'll leave it at that. It cuts me off at 30 minutes anyway, but this time I guess I'll actually end my video without being cut off. So anyway, take care. Have a good one. Thank you to anybody who watches my videos, and I hope you you know, get some benefit from it, and remember and maybe even share this info. And yeah, all right, take care. Have a good one.